All Three Beards Media podcasts originate from the Gravitate Co-working Studio, sponsored by Revelton Distilling Company.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Hawk's Eye View. I'm Andrew Barber with my co-host here, Drew Shipley. I'm also co-hosting. Thanks as always to Three Beards, all our sponsors. We're back, baby. And wow, Drew said, "Who the heck are you?" when I got on tonight. And if you're scared, I'm sorry. I apologize to all of you if you're scared, but I'm a brand new man. And feeling good about it. So,
yeah, I'm kind of curious what Chris and Aaron would have to say. They jokingly say that they fire and rehire us back on almost a daily basis. So I wonder I wonder how they feel about this change. Let me ask you, Andrew, why the change? Is this a girlfriend preference? Is this something that you made a decision on your own? Let's just spill the beans while we're right here.
Completely my own decision. The beard was getting a little scratchy, a little itchy, and just in general annoying to me. And it was feeling like spring here in Iowa, and it probably will feel like spring going forward. And so I decided to just freshen everything up for spring. And the beard was getting a little unruly, man. Like it wasn't very well kept, and I have a chance to start fresh and keep it up a little bit nicer and take a little bit better care of my beard this time around. So it's a privilege to have a beard, and yeah, you have to take better care of it. And I just wasn't taking the proper care of it that I should be. So
what do they say? Pressure is privilege?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark say that, or Lisa Bluter say that?
I've heard like 7 people say it in like the last 2 weeks. It's been kind of weird, but
who knows where it came from? But yeah, that's a good saying.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I like it.
Speaking of Caitlin Clark, Lisa Bluter and company, we really do have to start the show with this women's basketball team. And you were in Maryland. You did some awesome work in putting together photos and video clips on Friday night from the Chad Leistikow event. And Brian Ray was there as well. And maybe someone else that I'm forgetting was there. Chad Leistikow, Brian Ray, and
you got it covered. Those were the 2 main guys at the breakfast on Saturday morning. Actually,
okay.
The Capital Area Eye Club represent right here, Carver Hawkeye East. So they did a whole bunch of events over the weekend. They did a Hawkeye Huddle Friday night down at Tom's Watch Bar in DC, just outside of Nats Park. That was pretty cool. There was at least 100 people there, Andrew. And then the breakfast was equally as good of a turnout with Chad and Brian there. Did a lot of Q&A. They had a moderator from the Iowa Club kind of back and forth. And then, the crowd got to ask a few questions as well, including myself. So stay tuned in to Twitter and Facebook. We got some clips of some questions out there that were pretty interesting to hear the answers of from Brian and Chad. So we'll push those out over the weekend, I'm sure. But stuff like Carver Hawkeye renovation, Mount Rushmore of Iowa athletics, kind of some topics like that, Andrew, that we kind of talked about there at the breakfast. Really interesting conversation because last time we were here, Andrew, I was asking what exactly can we do about Carver Hawkeye. Chad has some ideas, so you'd be interested in hearing that that response because I actually asked that question while we were doing live. So we'll get that pushed out sometime this weekend. But it was just a great event all around. And then I've never seen. I don't know if I've taken part in any college basketball game, any basketball game actually, because I've been to several pro games too. Mm-hmm. Quite like that atmosphere in Maryland in College Park. And it had a lot to do with the runs of the game, right, Andrew? Because, I mean, Maryland, by and large, was in the game 32, 34 minutes of the 40. I mean, back and forth, took the lead there late in the third quarter, kind of tussled back and forth there in that last 8-minute stand, to get the win. I actually preferred seeing a game like that because I wanted to see how the team would react in adversity on the road, because that place packed, 18,000 seats in that place, which is a large campus arena. Like we're talking, that most arenas, 8, 10, 12,000 at most. This is a big place, Xfinity Center. I think 17,950 seats, Andrew, and every single one of them was taken. It was wild.
Yeah. It was also like Fox's most watched women's college basketball game ever.
Yeah.
1.5 million people watched on a Saturday night. And I was looking for you, man. I was hoping to spot you, and I couldn't.
So it turns out, Andrew, I was as far from away under the hoop as you could possibly be. So it would have to be a really, really wide shot.
Okay.
Or the basketball would have had to trickle out our way, because I was in the corner, right? So one away from the corner photo well. So I was not in the side to side. I was not in the regular shot.
Oh, I was hoping you were gonna sneak down post game, and I was gonna see you post game. I don't always watch. I don't always watch every game through to the end with all the post game and everything, because there's always other games to flip to, but there wasn't really anything else to flip to on a Saturday night. And I hear all the post game. I was hoping to see you in some of the post game stuff.
Yeah. So I went to the post game presser. I sat in the third row on the left-hand side. And I mean, man, they were really limited on how many questions were asked of the Iowa women. I think maybe 7 or 8 total. And Chad Leistokow, who I actually got to sit by at the game to work by, which was pretty cool. See how he works, as a professional, what he does every day. So it was cool to kind of pick up on some tips, pick his brain about Iowa basketball in general, or just Iowa sports, Iowa in general. But by the time I got the microphone, I literally got the mic, and the guy in charge said that was the last question, and then I handed it back. So, it is what it is. And then it turned out, Andrew, that Maryland didn't even broadcast Iowa's section of the post game presser anyway. So that kind of pissed me off too. But whatever. I didn't get to ask my question, so it didn't matter.
They don't respect Three Beards Media in the University of Maryland, or.
You know what though? They've treated me very well. This is the second time. This is the second time they've given me credentials with no problem whatsoever. And I'm telling you, Andrew, it was packed in the media room. It was packed in media row. There's 6 rows of media row on one end of the baseline, Andrew, of risers, high step risers. I believe Chad and I were sitting in position 56 and 57 in row 4. And there was a 5th row above us. So I assume there was 70, 75 people working in press row. Those aren't counting the photogs and other people doing social media, the Caitlin cam that Fox did on TikTok.
Right.
I don't know. Did you see any of that? Did you happen to tune into any of that at all? Was it cool?
Yeah, the Caitlin cam was, I like the concept of it, but I thought it was going to be more of the camera wasn't going to be zoomed in on her. I thought we were going to get a cam on her jersey,
first person perspective, first person shooter or something.
Yeah. I'm playing Call of Duty, but I'm on the basketball court with Caitlin Clark, and I'm seeing what she sees. That's what I thought the Caitlin cam was going to be.
I mean,
Love that.
she couldn't physically mount a piece of equipment to her, though, man. Like that, I don't think that's possible. Like,
Right. We don't have the technology yet. We don't have the technology for something like that yet.
No, we have the technology, Andrew. But when you're talking about like things that could influence the game,
Yeah.
like, like
fair enough.
I don't know. Even if it's like 2 or 3 ounces is all it weighs, or something, like they're not. I don't know. They're not miking him up per se.
For fairness, you would have to have everyone else on the court wear it too, so that it's a level playing field.
100%. And
Yeah.
they're never going to go for that, because I actually want to hear what these women say on the court. I want to see if they're as mouthy as the men are.
Yeah, I want. You know how like certain events are pay-per-view for like boxing and UFC and all that.
Yeah,
I would pay extra to have people on the court, on the field, mic'd up, and have it not be a family-friendly event. You know, so I could hear all that stuff going on down on the court. I would pay the extra to hear that kind of a thing.
give me Iowa LSU rematch mic'd up in the final.
Right. But even just like
That would be awesome.
any sporting event in general, like when it's
Well, yeah, like when you see all those old school NFL films, it's like they got all this audio from that stuff, you know? Like that is so cool that they got that. And then, you know, what do they do? What is the HBO Hard Knocks?
yeah,
They started doing all access for that, and that was pretty neat. Kind
Just
of the emergence of like people jumping on the Lions bandwagon, I think, and Dan Campbell was kind of like launched by Hard Knocks. Was it last year?
yeah.
that they did it? Became a very likable team, I think. But I do like those inside scoops as well, Andrew. I would like to see more of that. I just don't know how feasible it is in like real time on the court with the players.
Yeah, it's probably not that feasible. But yeah, we have to give a lot of credit to Hannah Stolke for last night's performance. 47 points. The program record is 48, held by Megan Gustafson, and they were really trying to get her another bucket late in the game with like a minute left to try and get her to 49 and get her over the hump. And she had some opportunities too. She missed a couple layups. She missed a couple free throws. So she had a really good chance, but man, she was in a flow. I think she was just a mismatch for Penn State, but she also did a really good job of what we've seen from her is running the court, beating everybody down the court. Caitlin was making a real effort to find her and force feed her the ball. So were the rest of her teammates too. But Caitlin specifically had like 16 assists, and I think all of them went to Stolke basically. Maybe a few to other people, but it seems like it's mainly going to be Stolke for that game. But man, she just dominated end to end and played a lot of minutes, and that was fun to see. And you had the whole crowd chanting her name, and like her emergence is huge for this team. Like we need her to emerge in that kind of way if we're going to make a serious run in March Madness.
I'm gonna have like a little self-fulfilling prophecy here, Andrew. I am so glad I'm right about who I thought was the secondary important player and who would also break out from this team and Hannah Stolke. I mean, geez. I mean, 47 points. Caitlin hasn't scored 47 this year. You know?
No, or in her career.
No, she hasn't. That's right. No, she
45.
hasn't.
It was her high. She's number 3, 4, and 5. Number 4 and 5 on the top 5 individual performances now. Stolke sits alone in number 2.
And none of those were threes by Stolke, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
She got old-fashioned 3-point plays.
Love it.
But no 3-point shots.
Yeah. I mean, did anybody else score over double digits other than Caitlin and Hannah?
Not for Iowa.
That's what I thought.
Well, wait, no. Did Kate Martin have 16? Kate Martin did. Kate Martin had 16 points and 16 rebounds.
That's an awful quiet double-double.
Yeah, that's a huge game for Kate Martin.
Yeah.
Sydney Fulter did a little bit of everything too. She had a couple blocks, couple steals, 7 or 8 points, 7 or 8 rebounds. So like Fulter and Kate Martin don't get the credit that they probably deserve for doing a lot of the things that just kind of like the dirty work, really. Yeah. So
let me ask you this, Andrew. Do you think that Lisa Bluder and Caitlin Clark took the foot off the gas a little bit to break the record in Carver Hawkeye?
That is the tinfoil hat theory, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think
because what's the number left right now for Sunday?
39.
And she hasn't scored 30. She hasn't scored 40 yet this year, right?
She scored 40 multiple times this year. Yes. She scored 40 against Virginia Tech, not Georgia Tech.
Oh, that's right.
Virginia Tech, and then I want to say she did it against.
And she scored 38. And she scored 38 against Maryland because she missed a layup to get 40.
Then I think she did 40 against Indiana and Michigan State.
She did. Okay. Anyway, so it's possible. But I'm wondering, I don't know. I got the tinfoil hat on. I think I would rather do it in Carver too.
Yes. She probably would rather do it in Carver, but also it's going to be a game on Sunday with Nebraska. Like, Nebraska's not really a pushover. They do have a decent program. They have a decent team. We made pretty good work of them when they were in Iowa City earlier this year, and I think Iowa can definitely win the game against Nebraska without having to have Caitlin Clark go for 40. But if they need her to, she will, and she won't think anything of it. I don't think they're really thinking about anything other than let's play our best basketball and win games.
Yeah.
That's all they're about and all they should be about. Anything else doesn't really matter to them. We know she's breaking the record. It's just a matter of when and where she does it.
Yeah. I think Iowa and Nebraska is kind of blossoming into a women's college basketball rival. Like, I mean, obviously, like outside of border and the obvious, right? Iowa, Nebraska, whatever. The first women's game I ever went to was actually the Iowa-Nebraska Big Ten Final in Indy, 2015, 2015. I can't remember what year it was. But that's when Nebraska was top 10 team. I think they won the Big Ten tournament, got a 2 or 3 seed.
Okay.
But it seems like Nebraska and Iowa have been pretty even outside of the Caitlin Clark, 4 years.
Yeah, I would say the biggest rivalry over the past couple of years is Indiana, number one.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
With maybe Ohio State or Maryland second. Probably Maryland.
Maryland's getting juicy. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, Nebraska, and then I think Penn State is really starting to build a decent program for themselves as well. I know we kind of handled them last night, but that's a decent team. That's a potential NCAA tournament team, I think. I think Nebraska is too. I think Indiana and Ohio State are for sure, but Penn State and Nebraska will probably make it from the Big Ten as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I haven't looked that deep yet into like women's net rankings or what they project or whatnot. No. Like they don't do quite the amount of bracketology as they do for the men's, and that's kind of a shame, actually, especially when you're talking about like the top 16 teams. The top 4 teams in each seat, or in each regional, kind of having campus games, right? Campus brackets. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Didn't they have a show last year of where the tournament committee would come out with like the top 16 seeds, like the last 4 weeks of March, or like the 4 weeks in March or something? Didn't they do something like that?
Yeah,
the women's for sure. I know they did that.
Yeah, I think they did that with the men too. I don't know if they're going to do that again this year. They should. That would be good. But yeah, I think we're marching again towards a 1 seed.
I mean, I don't see how you don't get it at this point. I think 1 through 3 is a given. I think everybody below 3 is like tier 1A. or 1B rather. I don't know. I mean, so you're talking LSU, you're talking Iowa, you're talking South Carolina. After that, no, you're not even talking LSU. NC State. LSU has lost 3 or 4 games now. It's NC State, right? And
let me pull up some quick rankings. It's South Carolina for sure and Iowa for sure. NC State and UConn maybe are the other two. If we're looking at
I know rankings. I'm 90% sure NC State's number 3.
NC State's number 3, Colorado's number 4, Ohio State's number 5. So it might be like that 4th 1 seed might be
Ohio State,
Colorado, Ohio State conversation. Maybe Stanford, Texas, Kansas State right there, UCLA, USC, UConn, kind of on that next rung down. That would be interesting. I think South Carolina and Iowa and NC State are probably 3 locks for 1 seeds. And then you can have a really interesting conversation about that 4th 1 seed
for sure
between Colorado, Ohio State, and a few other teams.
Yep.
So it's going to be good. There's a lot of intrigue across women's basketball. Anything else? I think we've reached a perfect time to hit a break here.
Yeah, let's do that, man.
All right, let's hear from our awesome sponsors at Revelton and Wintrust.
Why take the best corn in the world and make it into fuel when you could make it into whiskey? That's the question that launched Revelton, Iowa's most visible and fastest growing distillery. Owners Rob and Christy Taylor embrace the grain-to-glass philosophy, sourcing ingredients locally and overseeing on-premises production and bottling at their facility in Osceola. One sip, and you'll agree that Revelton's handcrafted whiskeys, gins, and vodkas are the best you've ever tasted. And with the launch of their rye whiskey, made with 100% Iowa-grown rye and corn, and their new bourbon coming soon, there's more Revelton to love than ever. Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. The great thing about working from home is working from home. The worst thing is working from home, especially for face-to-face collaborations with customers and coworkers. And let's face it, coffee shop meetings are neither private nor professional. So skip the trip to Starbs and investigate Gravitate Co-working Space. For more than 10 years, Gravitate has provided large and small office and conference spaces perfect for hosting meetings, workshops, or other events, as well as private phone booths for confidential conversations. Plus, all spaces include secure fiber internet, free coffee, and access to a kitchenette. All you need is your laptop. Gravitate does the rest. And renting space at Gravitate is surprisingly affordable. An hour of office space costs about the same as venti caramel macchiatos and breakfast sandwiches for 2. Daily and monthly rates are also available with no long-term commitment. Learn more at gravitatecoworking.com. That's gravitatecoworking.com.
Are you in the market for a new house and unsure of the mortgage process? Want to know that you have someone looking out for you? Kyle Lehman from Wintrust Mortgage is a down-to-earth, knowledgeable lender who can be there for you in your corner. He can work with you in any of the 50 states and is just what you need to expand your home search. Kyle will work with you through the entire process with little to no work from you. Take the worry of the mortgage process out of the equation so that you can focus on looking for your dream home. Contact Kyle at www.wintrust.com/Kyle-Lehman or call him at 515-473-0546.
Welcome back in. Thank you, as always, to Revelton, Gravitate, and Kyle Lehman and Wintrust. Appreciate them for sponsoring the show. And Drew, let's flip the script to football. We have a new offensive coordinator since the last time that we spoke, and it is Tim Lester. Most recently in college at Western Michigan, and then spent last year as an analyst with the Green Bay Packers. Has some time at Syracuse as well. I know that both of us were less than thrilled, at least initially. I've kind of come around on it. I don't know where you're at on it at this moment in time, but before we even talk about Tim Lester himself or his press conference or anything like that, let's go back to kind of where we were at before someone was even named and what were qualifications for an Iowa offensive coordinator. What exactly did we say we wanted out of an offensive coordinator?
Okay, so we wanted play calling experience first and foremost, right?
Yep.
I think that was number one. We wanted somebody maybe younger that was going to be outside of the box, somebody that's not going to be a yes man to Kirk, right? But I guess between those two things, I think I can't say it's the majority of it, but I think, that's where I would start, right?
Yeah. Here's a couple other things I think we talked about and what I wanted. Someone who has experience developing quarterbacks.
Yep.
Someone who has experience developing wide receivers. And who is willing to modernize the offense, specifically run pass option.
Okay.
Well,
let me ask you this, Andrew, before you go any further.
Yeah, go ahead.
What does an analyst really do, right? Because I know, let's just be upfront here. You are a Packers fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think his role had anything to do with Jordan Love's growth at the NFL level? Like, what does analyst mean? Like, help me understand that. Did he help the growth of Jordan Love? Did he help the growth of Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson? Like, did he actually help those folks? Like,
no. So what his role was with Green Bay was actually on the defensive side of the ball. He actually spent a year studying every one of Green Bay's opponents and gave his feedback, his analysis, if you will, about each and every one of Green Bay's opponents' offenses.
So he's a scout team guy. Scout team.
In a sense.
Okay. That's interesting.
So it is. But it does give you maybe a little bit of a different perspective. His play calling experience comes from his time at Western Michigan, and then also his time at Purdue, his time at Syracuse to an extent.
To be fair, it's one of the better directional schools in the MAC. Like, historically speaking, like, they're not. It's still the MAC, but like, we're not talking like Eastern Michigan, who's like 3 wins. We're not talking the current Northern Illinois, which, I mean, they're a shell of themselves. They used to compete with Iowa all the time in those non-con games. They were awesome. But they've fell off since then. Like, Western Michigan over the last decade, I would venture to guess, is a winning program.
Yeah, winning program. And I'll toss it. We talked about this privately, and I'll say it here again. He had a knack at Western Michigan specifically for finding and developing NFL wide receivers. Dwayne Eskridge, Jaden Reed, Sky Moore, all those guys went in the second round. Now, they've had varying degrees of success in the NFL, but he was the one to identify them and, in a lot of cases, develop them. The quarterback at John Wessink, I believe, was up for the award that Jack Campbell won the year that Justin Herbert won it. What I really liked about what he said in his press conference and about what he showed specifically at Western Michigan when he was calling the plays was he was able to adapt to what he had.
Yeah.
So he was able to find success with whatever talent it was that he had at Western Michigan. And they, I think they beat Pittsburgh in 2021 when Pittsburgh had Kenny Pickett. I think they put up more points on Michigan in 2021 than we did.
I mean, Pittsburgh has been like one of the most overrated football teams over the last decade.
Sure.
But
sure. And
yeah. I understand. Yeah.
I think there's some things to like. So I don't think it's like this terrible, awful high. I think it's more solid. It's not maybe the most exciting thing, but I think it's solid. And he did mention, in his press conference, RPOs and keepers and stuff like that. He said that's going to be a part of our offense. I really liked what he said about wide receivers. I asked him a question about wide receivers. He said, we're going to adapt our route trees based off what the defense is showing us. That's something that Brian Ferentz never did. It was the same route trees, no matter the opponent, no matter the defense. And those route trees were bad.
Yeah.
We would have 3 guys running to the same spot. Well, that's easy to cover.
Yeah, especially if you're playing zone.
So, yeah. But I also there's some things that make sense for Kirk Ferentz, and I see why Kirk hired the guy, because he has said, we have to commit to running the ball first. If we can't run the ball, we can't really do anything. And he had successful running offenses.
And in fact, run first offenses in Western Michigan.
Yeah, but they weren't inept passing offenses either, though.
No.
They were successful to varying degrees with the passing game. So I think that's about all we can ask for. And then he talked about the year that they no huddled and almost led the country in time of possession, but they never huddled one time. That's attractive to Kirk Ferentz, but that's different. That's not the same thing. That's not the same vanilla huddle, run the same. I have a feeling he's going to put Iowa in the pistol formation or the shotgun formation a lot more often, and we're going to run the ball from those formations a lot more often.
Yeah, I don't know. Philosophically speaking, I've had a problem running the ball out of shotgun.
Yeah.
And the reason is you're starting 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage before you even get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's little momentum running to the line of scrimmage. I feel like running the ball maybe to the outsides, to the boundaries, is probably more successful out of the shotgun than maybe an occasional draw. I don't know. I think the overall point, Andrew, is you're coming around on Tim Lester. I'm kind of like, I'll believe it when I see it. I think the most logical path here is I think it's probably somewhere down the middle, Andrew. I think there's going to be significant improvement because you literally cannot be worse, right?
Right.
Literally could not be worse in the last 5 years in the Brian Ferentz era. There's got to be improvement. Have all these pieces put back together for 2023, 2024 football season. There's going to be improvement because there has to be, right? Going to be better in the passing game. What's Cade McNamara's status coming into the fall? What's going on there? With that being said, Vegas isn't respecting the Iowa Hawkeyes because I saw the total number today. Have you seen it?
Yeah, go hammer the over.
Go hammer the over with plus money on 7.5.
Don't even blink about that.
7.5.
If we can do 10 wins with the offense that we had last year, and we improve even the slightest bit,
the ceiling, the floor is 8, Andrew. Shit has to go catastrophically wrong to win less than 8 games next year with that defense. With the defense alone,
right? If we have the 100,
Washington has a total of 0 returning starters. That game looks a lot more juicy in Kinnick Stadium.
Right.
UCLA on the road. Well, fuck, they just lost Chip Kelly, which we didn't even bring up.
Yeah, I was going to get there.
We go full circle because with this Tim Lester thing, you kind of had a hint earlier in this process of finding an OC that Chip Kelly may or may not have been a mystery candidate for the Iowa job. And this kind of the fact that this has happened makes it seem like it's more true than not to me, Andrew. He probably did do that. Why are you leaving? You're coming to the Big Ten. Are you just worried that UCLA is just going to be the laughing stock? They're going to be the Rutgers of the West? What? I don't understand.
alumni and big time donors wanted him out after this year, and they kept him around. But really, it comes down to like a few guys just don't want to do the head coach thing anymore. Like Chip Kelly just doesn't want to do the head coach thing anymore.
And he might be getting paid the same amount of money to be an OC at Ohio State, which, by the way, then Bill O'Brien took the Boston College job today. So, like, what is going on here? What is going on? Because both of those guys, in my opinion, were candidates. Well, not both. Not Chip Kelly. Bill O'Brien was my guy. Chip Kelly was the guy that you kind of had the hunch that was a third candidate. I wanted Bill O'Brien personally.
Yeah, you want to know who the four I think were? I think it was Christ, Lester, Luke Getsy, and Chip Kelly were the top four.
And you know what's funny about that, Andrew, is Luke Getsy's going to fucking stick it to me again because I'm a Raider fan. I don't know if I've told you this.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, man.
I am so effed, man. Like I'm
so sorry. Yeah.
But hey, I got Cliff Kingsbury out here in DC though, so I got that to look forward to on the NFC side.
There you go. But I think we're going to see that trend because Jeff Hafley left his job at Boston College to be the defensive coordinator of Green Bay. And when he left, he said, yeah, I was done with the recruiting, the NIL, the everything. I was tired of all that. I couldn't just coach football. All I want to do is coach football, and I don't care about all the other stuff. I think we might see some sort of a trend of head coaches leave for NFL jobs because they don't want the wild, wild west landscape of college football, the year-round wild, wild west of college football in their lives anymore. There's like no downtime.
Well, yeah, and wasn't he a legacy Boston College player as well? Like, we're looking at people that have done that to their own schools. Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something more to be had about that when it's all said and done, Andrew. I think it's going to be more like a Pete Carroll exodus from USC, where he's going to leave Michigan holding the shit bag of all these violations that are going to come down later down the line, of where Michigan's not going to be allowed in postseason play for 3 years or something and not going to get the recruits. Like Pete Carroll left USC in absolute shambles and have not been on that level since. They have not, So like Jim Harbaugh may have done more harm than good in the long run with one title, for the greatest program in college football history, right? The most wins, the winningest college football team ever. Might have left him in shambles here in the next decade or two moving down the line, I think.
Totally. Well, let's get back to what you said about Cade's health. I know for a fact that Iowa in the spring portal is going to go after a quarterback. It's just it's happening. Like they're going after a transfer quarterback in the spring portal when it opens. They're going to try and find someone that can compete with Cade potentially or be a quality backup. They're going after that. They're going after an ex wide receiver. And what I mean by an ex wide receiver is a 6'4", big target on the outside guy, a guy that can play exclusively outside. Love Caleb Brown, but he's right around 6 feet tall. He's a really great wide receiver. Slot. He's a slot inside guy, and he's going to really excel at that. But Iowa needs a big target on the outside that they haven't had since Brandon Smith. Brandon Smith was the last one who was able to, do any of that sort of stuff. And we didn't really use him properly, but we can find that. And I have a little bit of confidence that Tim Lester can find a way, if we give him that, to use those people and at least make our offense somewhat more successful. I have a little bit more confidence that we'll be a little bit successful on offense. And like you said, it can't get much worse, but let's just say Iowa has the 100th best offense next year in all of college football. I think they'll be a little bit better than that. I think they'll be closer to top 80. I think they'll be like 80th, right around there. And that's going to be pretty darn good. But yeah, that would equate to at least 9 wins probably next year.
I'm telling you right now, Andrew, my bold statement here on February 9th, 2024 is if we have a top 80 offense, we are in the college football playoff next year.
I fully agree with you, and I don't even know if
We're only talking top 12. How often have we been in the top 16 with shit offense? Offense.
right.
You're talking
Right.
80. You're talking 80. You're talking top third, right? Top half, I guess, ish. Is it 136 in Power 5 football? What is it?
Yeah, I think we're up to 136.
Okay, so half ish. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Middle
Top
of the
80
road.
Middle of the
Average.
road. Top 80 college football playoff is within reach. There's no doubt about it.
Potentially even hosting a college football playoff game if things fall right.
Now, that'd be pretty wild.
I think I could see 11 wins, a loss to Ohio State.
Yeah.
If we are able to be that competent on offense.
I mean, who else is going to beat you? Like I listened to Miller and Condon yesterday, kind of like quick predict the schedule, and the lines, because they love their gambling, and so do I. But
Yeah.
Ohio State's going to be the only game they're the underdog in all year. Iowa State's at home. Washington's at home. Wisconsin's at home, and we beat them there last year.
Yeah.
UCLA in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have USC. We don't have Oregon. We don't have Penn State, Michigan. I think Michigan State's going to be a lot better than expected. I like their coach. I like what they've done in the offseason. But I don't think they're like an unbeatable juggernaut. I think they're going to
Northwestern might be the toughest.
Northwestern will be good. I like Northwestern's offensive coordinator, and they've got the right head coach.
I think Northwestern might be the toughest game outside of Ohio State. Nah, I take that back. Iowa State will be, but toughest conference game.
I think Michigan State's going to be our toughest game outside of Ohio State.
You think so?
And then Northwestern.
Okay, I can
If
buy.
I had to rank.
I can buy that. I hate Michigan State after 2015. After what they did to us, I hate them.
True. Yeah, I don't really like them much either, but I like their head coach though. I like Jonathan Smith. I think he's a great dude. I think he's a great coach. So I'm looking forward to playing them this year.
Fair enough.
All right. Men's basketball, if we want to hit on it quick. Last night, I think, ruined any outside chance of the NCAA tournament, and barring a Big Ten tournament championship somehow. Like, I don't think it's realistic.
You have the schedule up, Andrew. Can you bring up the schedule and let's take a look at when, if we can put it actually on the podcast and we can WNL this thing out.
Let's WNL this thing out then.
Yeah, I like
because
I mean they're 3-5 in the Big Ten. They're 13-10 overall.
13-10, and they are
3-5,
5-7 in the Big Ten.
5-7. Okay.
Yeah, 2 games under 500. Home game on Sunday against Minnesota at 2:00 on the Big Ten Network. I think I will rebound and win that game. I have some confidence there. So we'll say 14-10, 6-7 at Maryland, Valentine's Day.
I'm not going either.
Yeah. And I'm not confident about that one.
Maryland is a lot like Iowa, actually. Like they have potential, but they have no consistency. They have no go-to. Like, I mean, we have Tony Perkins, right? Like Tony Perkins, would you say Tony Perkins is our number one?
Yeah, he's proven himself to be our best player. Then Peyton Sandfort kind of runs hot and cold. And then I think really Josh Dix has been playing really good basketball, and we really need him to be that third guy.
Yeah,
because should be the third guy.
Because unfortunately, Owen Freeman's kind of reeling it in a little bit.
Freshman. I mean, he's freshman, so he's just kind of
like they're getting the game plan, if you will, right? Like people have the sophomore slump per se, right? Like people get the book on you. I think they might have Got a little on them. No, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so for the Maryland game, I'm gonna say
I'm gonna say
loss.
lost. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
lost.
I'm gonna say loss to 14-11, 6-8. Wisconsin at home.
Loss.
Yeah, probably, but they did just go on the road and lose to Michigan.
Aren't they lost 3 straight conference games too?
Yeah, Wisconsin's maybe sliding back a little bit. I give us a chance in that one. I think Iowa pulls that one out. So I'll put them at 15-11.
Actually, you know what? You can you convince me. We'll do that.
Trust me, there's more losses coming up for me, so it's fine if I give them a win here.
Okay.
At Michigan State, no. Yeah, 15-12, 7-9 at this point. At Illinois, no. 15-13, 7-10. Penn State at home, I think Iowa can get that one. So 16-13, 8-10. At Northwestern's an NCAA tournament team. I don't feel good about that one. So 16-14, and then I believe 8-11. Home against Illinois to end the season on the 10th of March. I strangely think we'll win that one. So 9-11.
Stop it.
9-11, 18-13.
Stop the madness. Dude, if they do that, they get the quad 1 win against Illinois at home.
2 quad 1 wins with Wisconsin and Illinois.
There's no fucking, oh my God. If that happens, they're on the bubble, Andrew.
They're not on the bubble with that.
18-13, 9-11 in the Big Ten with 2 quad 1 wins in the final week and a half. I disagree.
We'll see, but
it's about who you beat at this point, Andrew. It's about who you beat at this point, because we've seen sub 500 teams in the Big Ten schedule get the nod all the time in those 11, those 11-7 or 11-6 games, 7-10 games.
I think there would still be work to be done in the Big Ten tournament. I think they'd still have to win 2 games in the Big Ten.
Oh, for sure. Like the standard to me, like growing up, was 20 wins. Like 20 wins was like the mandatory requirement to make the dance. Like
right.
And it never was. It's just what I thought it was.
Right.
And I still think to this day that I think 20 wins is the benchmark, a requirement. It's not a guarantee by any means, as we've seen before. The groups of 5, the mid-majors winning 28, 29 games and not making it, which is a travesty.
Right.
To let in, 17-13 Boston College or some bullshit.
Syracuse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A blue blood.
Yeah.
Per se.
And then they go on a magical run to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8 from the first 4. But I think Iowa will win 1 Big Ten tournament game and lose the second, and 19-14,
9-12 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and that will put them in the NIT.
That'd be NIT 2-3 seed probably.
Yeah, 2 or 3 seed in the NIT, and they'll win a few games in the NIT, maybe even make it to the Final Four. Who knows? But that's fine.
It's interesting you say that, Andrew, right? Because didn't we play Oregon in the final of the NIT the year before we played Oregon in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think so. We played Oregon on our way to the final of the NIT, where we eventually lost to Baylor.
Oh, it was Baylor. That's who it was. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We played Oregon on their home court and destroyed them in the NIT.
Right. That ugly ass court. Yeah.
Yeah. Roy Devin Marble went off.
one of the few times. I'm sorry, I've never been a Dev Marble fan.
Oh, dude, I love Dev Marble. He was great. He was fun.
He wouldn't even make my top 100 Hawkeyes ever.
Oh, shoot.
No.
Hopefully he's not listening to this right now.
He might be, man, because he's not playing ball, I'll tell you that.
I loved Roy Dev. Man.
I do not. I never have.
That was my dude.
Oh, man. Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
Hey, actually, let's give a little love, Andrew. We rounded out basketball and we talked football. Let's talk about a couple non-revenue sports that we got coming up. Let's talk about number 1 Penn State at number 3 Iowa wrestling tonight. I believe they hit the mat here in a couple hours, 8 p.m. Central, I believe, at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Yep. Coming off that dual loss to Michigan, though, they just got absolutely crushed, almost embarrassed, really. I don't know what to expect from that. I think Penn State will probably handle business as they have in Carver Hawkeye over the last decade. Iowa doesn't have the horses this year, especially with the gambling investigation suspensions to be included. Both of these non-revenue teams that I'm talking about, baseball is going to be next, really got hammered hard with this investigation stuff. So wrestling trending down, perhaps, coming off that Michigan loss. Baseball trending up, Andrew, number 20 in the country in the preseason poll. And weirdly, baseball doesn't have an AP poll. They have like a Baseball America poll. So like it's not like even like an official like deal, because they're probably all ran by the Southern schools. So, SEC runs baseball.
Right.
As they should. So, I mean, given the nod to Iowa at number 20 in the preseason is saying something pretty big to a Northern school. Typically, Iowa has to start a season like 13-2, 15-3 before they even start getting votes, it seems like, in March and April. Looking forward to the Big Ten, the Big Ten baseball season. And a little breaking news to the Hawks Eye View pod. Mr. Drew Shipley will be live on location at the Jacksonville Baseball Showcase, and it's a loaded card, loaded bracket, Andrew.
Yes.
We're talking Virginia, we're talking Wichita State, we're talking Auburn.
Okay.
And the Iowa Hawkeyes. So we're talking Iowa, Virginia, potential top 15 matchup down in Jacksonville. Looking forward to that on a Friday night, 6 p.m. The schedule's out. I wish I had the website ready to go, but
darn.
Anybody wants to go to Jacksonville with me at the end of February here, actually 2 weeks from today. We're going to see some awesome baseball, early season baseball of some quad one wins, potentially Virginia, Auburn, Wichita State. Perennial powerhouses, man, and I look forward to it.
Okay, I'm glad you know about wrestling and about baseball, because admittedly, those are things I have no knowledge, complete ignorance on. I know about Iowa's history in wrestling and how great they are and how great they've been in the Dan Gable era. I know who, I can name all the famous names, right, from Iowa wrestling history. I know that, but I don't know like the ins and outs of the sport. Same thing with Iowa baseball. I know how great Heller ball has been for Iowa. I know about Brody Brecht. I just don't know enough about like the polls and how the sport of baseball works at the college level to even talk intelligently about it. So I'm glad we have you co-hosting here to be able to talk intelligently about these things. So you mentioned quad one. So is it a similar system in baseball to like basketball? Quad 1, quad 2, 3, 4?
So it's, yeah, kind of. So they're like more along the lines of the RPI system and not the net rankings. So like kind of a evolution behind as far as ranking baseball schedules and whatnot. It's really hard to do, Andrew, when you only play teams, like especially the non-conference teams. You only play them once. You play them in these one-off tournaments. How much does that weigh? You only play, top 10 Indiana, like one series a year, 3 games. Anything can happen there. So it's like it's hard to gauge what wins matter more in baseball, because it's not 162 games like Major League Baseball is. It's not a decisive, Iowa beat Michigan State 11-4 in the series, won 11 games, lost 4. Like it's nothing like that, you know what I mean? So I think it's harder to grade and harder to rate teams like that. with 1, 2, or 3 games being played per season in the matchups. So, but yes, to answer your question, long-winded, more of an RPI system, who they've played, conference strength of schedule, point differential, run differential, I guess, stuff like that. It's more like the RPI of old in baseball.
Got it. Thank you for filling me in. I'll try to pay more attention this year.
We might need to in the dog days of summer, Andrew, because basketball is going to be over here in about a month and a half, and hit spring ball. And then after that, man, like, did you even know since the last time we talked, Andrew, that they had signing day in football?
Yeah, National Signing Day was GS this week, right?
Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Isn't that wild that we didn't even that wasn't even a topic? Like, we didn't even it's so meaningless.
Yeah, a lot of things for Iowa are wrapped up. We aren't usually major players for late flips or anything like that. We're not usually doing that kind of stuff. And we've, in a lot of senses, and that was about 2024, in a lot of senses, we've moved on to 2025 recruiting in football and basketball now, where we don't even 2024 is all wrapped up. 2024 is a great class, though.
31 24/7 ranking, I think.
Yeah, and 8 guys that have a 4-star rating. So by 247 Sports, it gets a little iffy with recruiting, but I generally look at 247 Sports. I feel like they have the most in-depth coverage. Like, they have multiple dedicated people for each and every team, and so they are able to watch a lot of high school kids, and I feel like they have the most in-depth stuff.
So what I will promise you moving forward, Andrew, when baseball season gets to rolling, I'll provide a little a recap of a weekend series, whatnot. Actually get some player interaction, player stats, what's going on. We'll see if I can brush you up on the staff, the pitching staff, what Rick Heller's doing. We're going to try to get some baseball content here in the dog days of summer when things are slow.
Love it. My goal is to make it to a game at Dwayne Banks Field because I feel like that would be fun.
I mean, and didn't they just announce the renovation at Dwayne Banks Field too? So that is coming shortly, I believe, like a $10-15 million renovation at Dwayne Banks.
Yeah, they did, because it's needed, and I can't wait. So
I mean, honestly, it looks like the City Field right now. It's not a great stadium environment. Sure.
So hopefully they're able to, in this update, make it a lot better in that regard. And
all the proofs and everything, all the pictures and stuff, it looks pretty awesome.
Sweet. I love it, because this Iowa team deserves it, because they've had a lot of success, and it looks like they're going to continue having a lot of success. I even saw I can't remember who it was, some predictions about Iowa being a dark horse team to make it to Omaha. I don't know if I'll go that far, but
man, they've been saying that for the last 3 or 4 years, Andrew.
Okay.
Iowa has been a popular pick to make it to Omaha. I will tell you right now, if that happens, I'm going. And I don't even give a shit when or how much. We both got to go. On the road, Three Beards Media, Hawk's Eye View, live from.
Yeah,
I would say Rosenblatt Stadium, but it's not Rosenblatt anymore. They moved it elsewhere. What's it called?
Got it.
Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter.
If they make it, yeah, I think
a lot of games.
Eye View live from Omaha is coming to a podcast near you.
Yep. So. Love it.
All right. Well, with that, we are going to get on out of here on a Friday night. Thank you to everybody who listened live. Thank you to everybody who's going to listen after we put the recording out there. We appreciate each and every one of you. Appreciate all of our sponsors. Thank you for supporting us. And as always, go Hawks.
Go Hawks, baby. Let's go.